everyone. Thanks for joining us for our next episode of the Doobert webinar series. So today we are going to be looking at how you can manage some of your outreach programs within CCM. And this is really great because CCM is so customizable that it can fit almost any of your programs. So I'm really excited to share how you can make CCM fit almost any of your programs. So today we're going to be looking at a spay and neuter option, a owner surrender, as well as a pet food pantry. So just a couple ideas to give you some inspiration on how you can get your program set up. So if we check out our agenda, we have our overview first, and then we will dive into how you can manage your spay and neuter program first. And then we'll move on to what an owner surrender could look like, as well as a pet food pantry. So it's all going to be super comprehensive and really showing you all angles of CCM and how these programs can fit into all the different areas within CCM and a lot of like those advanced details sections as well. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys. A little bit about me. I'm sure you probably have seen me in a lot of these webinars so far, but I'm Lena. I'm a presenter. I've been with Doobert for about 7 months, and I am a new dog mom, so that's super exciting. But besides that, let's get into our overview. So with the CCM module, we have an integration with JotForm, which is great because it is a huge time saver for our organizations. And what this means is that JotForms can be used to gather data on your cases. So a lot of organizations put these on their websites, their Facebooks, really anywhere that their community comes to them. So with these forms, these can be completely customized, branded. We work super closely with you to get these forms to where you would like them. And then once they're all set up, they will map into your CCM account. So every time someone fills out a form, there will be a case automatically created with that information. So these are really great because we can also set up workflows, follow-ups, agreement forms, or even send intake questionnaires with the power of our workflows and our JotForms. So we'll kind of look at how all of that ties together. And then we can send our email, our text communications with our case contacts when we need to. So really great when you're working with those outreach programs. And then you can also run your end of month or year reports on your programs with our advanced reporting module as well. So moving into our first outreach program. So first we're going to be looking at how to manage a spay and neuter. And this is a really great one because it is super common and there is a few different ways that organizations can manage this program, but I'm just going to show you some options as to how I would do it. So with this, you can use forms to gather your requests on your applicants. And on this application, you can ask any question that you'd like that fits with your approval process or anything like that. So typically we would include all of the required fields within CCM to create a case. But other than that, it's totally up to you what information you want to versus don't want to collect on a spay and neuter request form. So with this, you can use some of the communications within Doobert to kind of automate how you send your approval notices or your waitlist notices to your applicants. So typically we would use workflows for those, but you can always send them out manually as text or email as well. Or you can create the template and send that out too. So a couple different ways you can do that. And then you can also automate your scheduling for the spay and neuter appointments with follow-up surveys, or you can send out Calendly links, really anything that you would like. So this is really great when you manage a pretty large spay and neuter program and you kind of want to automate how they're scheduling and give them the flexibility to choose their time. And it also takes some of the work off your team versus having to answer phone calls, doing it by email, anything like that. So I really, really recommend Calendly for scheduling, and we can also integrate a Calendly with a JotForm. So a couple different options there. And then with this, once you get your scheduling done, we can also send out a survey via the workflow, which would collect all of the pet's information. So we can collect their weight, their age, their breed, any medications that they might be on, or medical problems that they might have that your organization should know about. So the great thing about that follow-up survey is that it will automatically fall back into that same existing case, but it will just add more details than what's already there. So that's really great and saves your time when collecting a lot of that really in-depth animal information. And then once that is all done and the spay and neuter is completed, we can update that case status and mark that as completed. So really great options to really manage a comprehensive spay and neuter program. So now moving into our owner surrender programs, these are also a really big and popularly managed program within CCM. So with this, how I would set this up is I would use the form again, for example, and I would use case types to identify the programs. And we would use our case statuses to track the progress of the case or how urgent it is. And then we can use our text and email templates to send them resources or any other information that you typically share with your owner surrender applicants. And then we can also do the same with collecting the animal information with an intake questionnaire. And this is really great. Again, takes the work off your team. It's a game changer for time saving. And then you can also communicate with your pet owners to schedule that intake or schedule any other type of resources that you might be giving them to defer them from surrendering their pet. So a lot of different options that you can choose from with that. And then these are also great because you can take that animal profile that was created within this case and transfer it over into a foster parent's case once that whole process is completed. So it's really great that you can kind of move the animal profiles from the owner surrender case to their new foster's case so easily because all that animal information is already there. So now we're going to be looking at how you can possibly manage your pet food pantry. And as you can tell, these are all pretty similar and really based around the forms, which I will show you guys an example of in just a second. But these are really the base of how to save so much time when working with your outreach programs. So with the pet food pantry, you can share your custom branded pet food pantry form on your website, anywhere people find you. And with that, you can collect the data on how much the applicant is needing for pet food and really their preferences on what they'd like, whether they want like dog food, cat food, treats, wet food, dry food, really anything that you provide your community with. You can collect their preference on that if you'd like. And then with that, you can also gather the pet's information because this is really great to kind of base your decision around what food might be best for that pet based on their age, their breed, their weight, anything like that. So you can collect that information as well in an animal profile, or if you prefer not to make an animal profile, some organizations just put that right into the case description as well. So that's really great to really gather all of your pet food pantry data. And then once that is all done, we can use our workflows to schedule a pickup. Again, Calendly is really great for this, sending out a Calendly link through a workflow or really any type of scheduling tool that you would like to use that can be automatically sent through your workflow. And then this is really great because if you have some applicants who need that long-term support, you can also have our team set up a weekly check-in survey that you can send that group of people every week or every so often that you want to check in with them and kind of see how it's going, see if they're needing any resources, things like that. So super great options for depending on how you run your pet food pantry. So now we are going to check out what one of these JOT forms would look like. So I just have an example of a spay and neuter form just to give you guys kind of a rough idea of what these forms do, what they look like, and kind of what the capabilities of them are. So if we check that out right here, this is just a quick one that I threw together, but we have our case name, our email, zip code, so our required fields to get a case started. And then we have how soon do you need spay and neuter for this pet, which I would typically put this as the case status because then it's really good to tell your team how often, or not how often, sorry, how soon that they should get that pet scheduled. So really great information to collect, and this can be your case status as well as on the back end. You can't see it, but the case type will automatically fall in as spay and neuter. So we have a couple capabilities of things that we can do in terms of on the back end, kind of putting in some default values. So definitely keep that in mind if you are looking to go the form route. We can do almost everything. My team and I, we are super educated with JOT form and can do a lot of different things. So moving on, this is what I was talking about when you can collect the pet information, which is really great because pet information can be very in-depth depending on how much you want to collect. So this is really great when you're talking about spay and neuter because you kind of want a little bit of information on the pet's age, their weight, any medical conditions that they might have. You can definitely collect that with this form, and the owner of the pet will just put that information right into this form and the work is done for you. So with that, we have the capability to map to almost anything in the animal profiles clinical section, which I will show you guys to give you kind of an example of what you can put there, but so many options for spay and neuter and the amount of clinical information that you can collect. And then we also have a little bit of conditional formatting that we can do on these forms as well. So for example, if they select a pet type as a dog, we can put in the dog breed right there, and that will also map into the animal profile. But now we're going to dive into the system and start checking out how these would look. Okay, so now we're in the system and I am in our companion case management module right here. So I am going to pull up a spay and neuter example case and kind of show you guys how this could work. So I just have a spay and neuter searched as my case type right here. So I have my spay and neuter case that I am going to show you guys. So for example, we have our status as this is a new application. So just letting your team know that it's new. And then scrolling down, we have a case tag for what the applicant is looking for. They're looking to have their pet spayed, the pet's a female, and they're a dog. So we can have your forms automatically put these case tags in. So definitely keep that in mind. And then just information about the case itself, what they're looking to do, can really be what you put in the case description or any other extra information that you might collect on, say, for your approval process or whether they're on wait list, anything like that. And then right here we have our contact information that we wanted to collect. So we have their name, phone number, email address, and down here we have our animal profile. But before we get into that animal profile, I want to show you guys what you can do with the additional information section. So with this, we can add tags about our contact. For example, their availability, when they're available to bring their pet in, or whatever date that they might have scheduled for the spay and neuter can also be a case tag, or a tag about a contact that you could put right here. These work really similar to the other case tags on the details page, where you just type them in and it will pop right in. So we'll just add one really quick to show you guys. So we can just add one for scheduled to let your team know that they have already scheduled their appointment. And then we can put any internal notes about the contact, for example, the time that the pet was dropped off, or really any other notes that you would want to collect about your contact or put here. We can also map from a form to this section. And then other than that, we can go down into our animal profile right here that can be created from our form. So we are going to check that out. So we're going to click Edit Profile. And now we can see all of the pet information that the owner put in. So this is really great. Takes a lot of work off your team. Like I said, you can even add a little photo of the pet through the form. So a lot of different options there. So what I really want to get into for the animal profile is the clinical tab, because this is where I see a lot of information on this pet being stored. So for your spay neuter program, depending on what clinical information you like to collect, all of these forms can be mapped to from a form. For example, if the pet's on any medications that your team should know about, we can have that automatically come in from the form where the owner would put that information in, or we can go in and add it manually like this. So I'll just pop this in super quick. And then we can put a date. We don't have to put a completion date, but if we want to, we can. The only required ones are medication name and date started, and then, for example, what it's given for. So a lot of different options here. And then we have our dosage, how often, and then any notes that you might want to add. So once you have all of your information in here that you want, you can click Add. And now we will see that our medications entry is there. So this is really great if, for example, pets have a lot of medications or a lot of medical events that your organization should know about before they get spayed and neutered. It will all live right here if you decide to collect that data on a form. So we have a couple different fields down here as well. If you want to use them or map to them, it's totally up to you, but we have all of these new fields that are really exciting that we just came out with recently. So definitely check these out. So now we're going to check out what an owner surrender case would look like. So now I have owner surrender searched as my case type right here, and I am going to grab this one. So looking at this, it's pretty similar in how I have it set up to similar to the spay and neuter. So where we have it as a new application, our type of program that we're working with right here, and then we have our case tags just letting us know some of that high level key information. So for example, they might be surrendering dogs, they're females, and they are spayed. So good to collect that data. And then in our case description, we just have a little bit about why they're surrendering or kind of the reason that they're looking for help. So here we just have that they're not acclimating well to children and they get aggressive with children around. So definitely giving your organization some resources on how they can possibly help. And then down here, same concept, we have our contact information and our animal profile as well. So if we check out this animal profile here, the owner can again put all of the pet information in here, so does a lot of the work for you again. And then they can also put in their compatibility, which is really great for your owner surrender programs. These can be mapped from forms as well. So if we check out, we also have some general tags here of what the pet's like, or what group that they might be in. So for example, if they were part of a litter, you can use a group tag, which is a really great option. And we have some more options down here for a little bit more of a detailed information on your owner surrender. So here we have our intake section, and you can record the date and the time that that pet was taken in and also the origin. So we just have owner surrender right here. We have some subtypes as well as any secondary intake reasons. We have a couple options here that you can choose from. And primary intake reasons, doesn't fit lifestyle, a couple different options. And a lot of other information that you can track. For example, bite history is really good when you have those owner surrenders if they're going to be put in a foster home, just to give your fosters that information as well as their adopters. So it's good to collect that, and this can also be collected on the forms. Okay, so now we're looking at our pet food pantry case, and you guys already know how to search them, so I skipped that step for you guys. But here we have our case name, and then we have our status as, for example, if someone needs long-term pet food pantry support, we can add that just to let your team know. And this will come into play when you are interested in sending a weekly check-in to anybody who you're offering long-term support to, or really just to check in with anybody that you have applying for your pet food pantry. So you could definitely use the statuses to really organize all of your data any way you'd like. So I just have long-term support here for an example, and then my type is pet food pantry again. And this can also be managed through a form where your applicants would fill out this form, what pets they have, how much they need, what their preferences are, and kind of what type of support they're looking for as well. So keep that in mind. And right here we have that she is requesting food for 2 dogs and she wants dry food and treats. So typically I do kind of their preferences on what they're looking for in terms of the type of pet food that they need in the case description. And then down here we have her 2 pets that she gave us information on from the form. So we can see that here she is looking for pet food for her 2 dogs. So then we can also check out the information on these pets to decide what type of food we can give them that would be best for the animals. So right here we have Reese, for example, so we can check out this animal profile to look at how big of a dog she is and how old she is, anything like that. So here we can see that she's a dog, she's a mixed breed, she's 3, and she's 80 pounds. So then we know that they may need a little bit more food than someone with a smaller dog. So then if we jump out of this one, we can check out this next one for Rover and see what type of dog he is. So we're just going to click on edit that profile, and we can see that he is a male and he is 50 pounds, and he's also a mixed breed, but he's 6. So that's really good to collect that data on how to best serve your applicants and their pets. So a lot of different options on how you can possibly set this up for your organization. But I just like to give you kind of the way I would do it. But hopefully that gives you some inspiration and gets your wheels spinning on how you can set this up to fit your needs. So now we are going to look at how we can use our templates and our workflows to really support any of our programs. So I am going to go back over into our companion case management, and we're going to click on templates right here. And the really great thing about Doobert is that you can text your case contacts as well as email them right from the system through that case. So super, super exciting for our organizations that like to be in touch with their applicants a lot and kind of go back and forth with them to check in and things like that. So if you are interested in getting a phone number when you sign up as an organization, be sure to choose your phone number in advance because it does take a few days to take effect. So typically I say 5 days max, but give or take. So definitely plan ahead if you are looking to send any texts through the system. But it is kind of a game changer for your outreach programs because you're keeping all of your information about the case as well as the animal and all of the communications all together. So it's super great to really consolidate your data and give you that case management resource that a lot of our organizations were looking for. So in our template section, if we want to go ahead and add a template, we can do a email template, and we will title this a weekly check-in. So now what we can do is choose our subject line. So we are going to put just checking in. And then now we can ask any of our applicants the questions that we want to ask them as kind of a check-in. Say your pet was spayed or neutered and the organization wants to send out a check-in, see how they're doing. We can do that. So for example, we will just say, hey there, how is your pet doing? Do you have any questions or concerns? And we can say really anything else that you would like to add, but just as an example, we can leave it at that. So, and now once all this looks good, if there are any files that you want to attach or send them any resources, you can do that right here with this little plus sign and attach a file. But other than that, if our template is looking good, we are going to just click save. All right, so now we can see this new template that we made right here called Weekly Check-In. It is an email template, so now we are going to send that out. But first, I just want to show you guys how to set up a text template because it's super similar, but just to give you an idea, if we choose text right here, name our template, and the only thing that's a little bit different is that you have a character count with the text templates as well as no subject line. So just wanted to point that out if that's something you would rather do than an email. So now we are going to jump back into our spay and neuter case and send out this template by email. All right, so now that we are in our spay and neuter case, we are going to go over to the communication tab right here, and we are going to click insert template, weekly check-in, and then you'll see that our subject line popped in as well as our pre-made template. So if this all looks good and there's nothing you want to go in and customize, we can go ahead and click send. So now that would go to my email just as the organization checking in with me, seeing how my pet's doing, and if there's any questions, they can address them. So then down here in our conversation log, you can see that your team sent them the message, and you can also check out the context by clicking here. And if the applicant or spay and neuter recipient responds, then they will also show up in the conversation log with anything that they were to send back. And then the great thing about these communications is that whether you get an email or a text, it will come up as a blue dot on our cases page right here. if we have let me clear out this filter really quick. So now we can search all of our cases, and then anything with our blue dots right here are letting us know that we have an awaiting communication from them or a survey response, really anything that needs our attention. And then our red dots are letting us know that it was a bad phone number or a bounced email. So definitely check that out if you're interested in communicating with your applicants or checking in, things like that. And then we can also set up our workflows with our templates. So since we have that template created, we're going to use that in a workflow too. So we're going to go down to workflows right here. And now we are going to add one. So we can name our workflow spay and neuter check-in. And now we can click save on that, and now we can put in that email template. So our weekly check-in right here. So now it is going to go to that case contact, and if they respond, what we can do is add an action. So when they respond, this can let our team know that the case status can change to awaiting CSR. So just letting your team know that they responded, they might have questions, anything like that. And then we can also change a case type, but for this one, we won't really need to change the case type because they'll still be a spay and neuter case. And if, for example, they do respond and you want one of your team members to know that, you can also assign the case to them. So if they respond, then the case status will change to awaiting CSR. The case type won't change unless we want it to. And then our case will then be assigned to any of our team members who we want to manage that case. And then they'll get an email letting them know of that as well. So if we do that, we can just add one of our team members right here. So I'm going to add myself so I don't email any of my team members. But if we have no response received, we can put in our time delay. So wait 3 days. And then if they don't reply, then the workflow will stop. So if this all looks good, we have all our fields filled in, we can go ahead and click save and publish. Oh, forgot to click this one. So we'll do no change right here. Don't forget to do that. So now once we have all of our fields filled in, this time, we're going to click save and publish. So now we have our newly created workflow in here, and we can also see them because they will be organized by the names right here. So we have our spay neuter check-in. They are alphabetical. So now we can go back into our case and execute this workflow. So now we'll hop back over into our cases, search for our spay and neuter. And now we have this one here. So we're going to end the current workflow, and now we are going to execute our new one. So down here we have spay neuter check-in, so we're just going to click on that, and if it all looks good, we're going to click execute. And what that is going to do is send the applicant that email, asking them the questions, checking in. If they don't respond, then there will be no change. The case will stay the same. If they do respond, that case status will update, and it will then be assigned to one of your team members, and this will automatically switch over right here too. So definitely good things to keep in mind for your time-saving aspects. So that is about all I have for how you can manage your programs, but I do want to show you guys some of the reporting options if that is something that you're interested in, because I know a lot of our organizations like to report on all their outreach programs. So in our Pro plan, we have this advanced reporting module right here. So we can report from companion case management, animals tab, foster space, and manage your templates. So just for an example, we'll click on companion case management because that's what we've been working in. So right here, what you can do is change any of your reporting fields to customize them. So since we have some in here, we can remove those. Select all the ones you want to remove, or you can just click remove all, whatever you want to do. And then you can go in and add any of the new ones that you want to run a report on. So it's really great if you want to run a report on everything. You can click add all or remove all, anything like that. So definitely check that out if you're interested in reporting. But other than that, now we're going to jump into our Q&A. Okay, so our first question is, how can I get started with these forms and surveys? So great question. What you would do is just reach out to us at help@Doobert.com, and either myself or any of my team members will help you get your forms set up. We will integrate them into your CCM, show you how they work, run a couple tests with you, and really just work super closely with you getting these forms to exactly where you want them to be. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely just reach out to us at help@Doobert.com, and we will help you out with getting started. And our next question is, how many forms can I have? So another great question. On our elite plan, you can get up to 3. And then on our pro plan, you can get up to 10. So depending on how you want to organize your programs or how many you might have, you can choose your option from there. But keep in mind that our customized reporting module is only available on the pro plan. So our next question is, how long does it typically take to get our forms back? So another great question. That is really just depends on the complexity of your form, but we are typically super quick with turning these around within a day or two. So keep that in mind. If you are looking for something really quick, we can definitely do that for you. But depending on the complexity, it might take us a little bit longer, but we are very proactive about getting them back to you on time. So other than that, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the webinar series.